Talk about Seoul a little bit more. So you were raised on a U.S. military base there?
Well, outside of one.
Outside of one,
and then I'd go to school on it. But no, Seoul is... Oh, man, there's nothing like it, really, I think, in America. New York is probably close, like New York City. But even then, like, multiply the foot traffic in New York City by 3, and then you're reaching Seoul. Like, it's congested.
Wow.
There. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, 20 million people.
Yeah, 20. I think it's... Well, actually, I think in Seoul, it's about 15, 16 million right now. A little figure I like bringing up is if you take basically the entire population of Ohio, like the whole state, and then shoved it into the square mileage of Columbus, Ohio, that's roughly Seoul.
Wow. I don't even know how you breathe. I mean, I think there's more people in Seoul than all of Ohio.
Maybe.
It's close.
Yeah,
it's close. I want to look that up, but it's close.
Yeah.
So tell me this. I'm sure you're probably getting asked this all the time, but you know, have you visited the demilitarized zone, or is that like not a thing for you? Just like, whatever, okay. That's just 30 miles away. Like that's a more tourist trap or what? Okay,
so you know how Disneyland's like the happiest place on earth?
Mm-hmm.
I've come, like, this is something that you'll only really feel after living in Korea for a while and then visiting the DMZ maybe once or twice in your life.
You're saying it's the actually the happiest place on earth?
Yeah, no, all the guards are smiling. Like all the footage you see is it's just a joke. No,
all the missile silos have rainbows over top.
They're full of confetti. Yeah, it's all just a hype, a scam. No, the DMZ is probably one of the most boring places on earth, I think.
To actually visit, right?
Yes. Because, I mean, there's the whole, North and South tension and all that stuff. And granted, it's getting a little worse because of what North Korea's been doing recently. But for the most part, like living in Seoul, which is really close to the border, actually, if you look at it on the map.
It's like 30, 40 miles away.
Yeah. It kind of numbs you to the idea like, oh, yeah, a rogue state is like 50 miles away from us. That's cool, I guess. You kind of forget that it's a big threat. It kind of just feels more like it's unfortunate that half of Korea has to be that way. Mm-hmm. And the DMZ is just this, it's the epitome of all things boring about the tension between the two. Cause they kind of scare you into like, the tour guides say, don't make any funny faces at the guards or anything like that. But for the most part, you're just kind of crawling through tunnels, like seeing the tunnels that people have dug between the North and South, like during wartime and stuff. Mm-hmm. And, you kind of see a couple like buildings that they used to negotiate, but nothing ever actually happens. So it just feels...
Speaking of those negotiating... Lame. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. It just feels lame.
Just feels kind of boring. Like, why did I come here? I could have actually gone to a PC bong and...
Yeah, played StarCraft all day.
Yeah. The national sport of South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, so speaking of those meeting rooms, you've been in some of those rooms where they do the negotiations where like it's literally a table in there and it's like split down the middle, and like one side of this table you're in North Korea, the other side you're in South Korea.
Yep.
You've sat at that table?
That historic table, yep.
Did you go to the north side?
Nope.
You can't sit on the other side of the table?
No.
I thought you were allowed to go to the north side of the table as long as you didn't leave that building. But you can't even cross the table.
I mean, it's been a while since I've toured there, but I don't remember them letting us go to the other side.
I imagine that's the kind of thing, like once you do it, you're like, all right, check that box. Like you probably don't need to go back because it hasn't changed literally for the last, half century?
Yeah. Although it might in the next decade or so. Who knows?
Man, I mean, so you see just wired fences, and what do you see like in the land there? Like, do you see like factories? Do you see buildings, cars driving? What do you see on the north side? On the north side, it's actually very desolate. Well, not desolate, that's not the right word, but it just... You say actually, like that's not what I expect you to say. No, it's how do you put it? It looks like man has not touched that place. It looks very like natural, a lot of green. Like when you look far into North Korea, it looks like there's no industry, there's no infrastructure really anywhere. And I've seen photos of like Pyongyang, which I've never been, of course, but you see that, and like parts of it look kind of city-like, but it still always has that hint of like sadness. Like the alleyways look really dilapidated, and like people rarely look happy in North Korea. Very gray, what I've seen of North Korea, but I have seen lots of accounts or photos of people smiling and partying. Like there's always celebrating going on. I can't really comment on what they're celebrating, but that's what I've seen. And a lot of people don't realize this. It's kind of a surprise when they hear this about Pyongyang, but if you were to say, you know, with all the great coliseums in Europe and in America and just all and in China and everywhere across the world, you know, all the great cities that have hosted Olympics and everything, when you actually look at the facts and find out that, you know what, the largest stadium in the world is in Pyongyang, North Korea.
Yep.
That holds the most people. And also, what is it? Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it the largest hotel in the world as well? Like the tallest, largest by rooms.
I'm not 100% on that one.
Okay, it's like this weird building that almost looks like a giant elongated pyramid that has been like under construction for like 40, 50 years or something like that. And they just now recently finished it and let people start staying in the hotel. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like one of the biggest parts of the skyline there.
I don't know. I don't remember it.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I'll check it out later. But I'm pretty sure it's supposedly the largest hotel in the world. Like considering everything in Las Vegas and everything, you just wouldn't expect that. It's just such a strange place, and it's fascinating to me. So
I don't know. It's an isolated world where all the people are forced into believing that their leader is a literal god. Yeah, an actual for real god who can control what they do.
Yeah, I hear all these crazy things. So,
yeah, but that's probably enough of the History Channel because this is this is actually the Tiny Disc Podcast. So, welcome to TDP, a show about games and life. I'm your host Robert Scarpanito, and I'm joined here by Jack Cepeda.
Robert, you're my dear leader.
Thank you, and also
I just want you to know.
And we're also joined by never mind. Collin isn't here this week.
Oh no, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, no, it took us a while to get this one set up. We had a lot of technical difficulties, and I'm pretty sure not having Collin here had a lot to do with it.
Who knew that he was the glue that held this technical masterpiece together?
Yes. So no, our third pillar of this podcast, Collin Sparling, will not be joining us this week. He will be back next week though.
It's fine. He's enjoying his vacation. Hope you're having a good time, Collin. You know he's listening to this podcast, so have a margarita on me.
Yeah, have a margarita.
Actually on you because I'm not buying it.
Yeah, he's off celebrating 4th of July, and as well to all our American listeners, happy Independence Day. Hope you enjoyed your barbecues and your beer all week. I hope it's been fun, but let's get into this podcast. So have you seen the trailer for The Foreigner yet, Jack?
You know, you're a foreigner, technically.
Yeah,
I know another foreigner, and his name's Jackie Chan.
Yo, great
the segues are popping today, dude.
Did you know I know Jackie Chan actually because we're both foreigners? I know him.
Oh, all Asians know each other, and also all Asians just know karate. We just come out the womb knowing karate.
Right. No, but Jackie Chan's got a new film coming out, The Foreigner, and it's looking really cool, actually. I think so. Yeah. The trailer's out right now. If you haven't seen it yet, I'd recommend seeing it if you're someone who, you know, likes watching trailers and doesn't mind being spoiled a little bit. But it's very different, I think, from a lot of Jackie Chan's previous work. You know, he usually does a lot of comedy action. You know, like usually they're action films, but then like the set pieces are usually like some kind of funny thing going on. You know, like maybe someone's swinging a sword down, like right on his balls, and he backs up a little bit, that kind of stuff.
The kind of slapstick humor. Yeah, I love it. It's just like a fresh take. He's taking the genre that Bruce Lee, just kind of blew up to Western audiences and really puts his own spin, his own signature on it. I mean, and the lack of CGI and the lack of wires and the lack of a safety net is kind of his hallmark, right? Like he's kind of the Evel Knievel of Kung Fu.
Right. And he makes a point to do all of his stunts himself. He doesn't hire a stuntman to do the Jackie Chan stunts. He does it all himself.
Yeah, he does the stunts, and all the guys that he's kind of whooping up on, they're all part of the same team, and they kind of work together and collaborate on all the scenes, and it just makes for some of my fondest cinema memories, period, despite any genre.
Yeah, and The Foreigner, though, is a little bit different, in terms of its tone. Like his previous, you watch Rush Hour and you're not sitting there thinking, I can't wait for this serious, dramatic story. You're kind of just, you're there for the jokes, the silly jokes between Jackie Chan and Tucker. And, oh man, The Foreigner, though, it seems dark.
Yeah, it's kind of his version of Taken.
Yeah.
Right? Where you wouldn't expect Liam Neeson to be just so badass. And you wouldn't expect Jackie Chan to be, like a badass, like serious kind of drama effort, like tell me, spoilers for the trailer, but, his family member of his something bad happens to him, and it's all basically about revenge. So it's kind of a big revenge film, directed by Martin Campbell, coming out September 30th in China and then October 13th here. You know, I was looking at some facts about The Foreigner, and just random fact, it's based on a book by Stephen Leather, and the name of the book is The Chinaman.
Oh.
Not the preferred nomenclature, dude.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for them to have rebranded the movie a little bit.
Yeah, don't go around saying that. Just don't. Just life tips.
No, but The Foreigner. I remember, like, when I was watching that trailer, what I really liked, the scene that stands out to me most in that trailer was so you remember that scene where Jackie Chan's character is like, his gun runs out of ammo or something, so he kind of like hides in the corner between like the wall and the refrigerator, and those dudes run up to him and they like pull the gun around the corner and start shooting at where he's at, but instead he's like clung to the ceiling of that corner, and then it kicks him.
That's a cool part.
Yeah,
that's a cool part of the trailer.
Yeah, so it's a cool part, and what I liked the most about that part is that it still felt very serious, but it was still that little hint of like Jackie Chan kind of playing with you, and you know, it's a kind of a playful fight almost, even though you want the good guy to win.
Yeah, and I have no doubt he actually can do that. The man can do incredible feats. You know, if you've never seen a Jackie Chan movie, like, there's a reason why he's a celebrated international movie star. You know, he's been doing this for decades, ever since he was, you know, a teenager. He's been doing these kinds of movies and these actual real stunts. So if you've never seen a Jackie Chan movie, like, get on Netflix. One thing I don't want to brush over too much is the director is Martin Campbell, and he one thing that really gets me excited is that Martin Campbell is the director, if you know, that actually is responsible for rebooting the 007 movies, and he did it not once, but he did it twice, with 007, Pierce Brosnan, back in the 90s, and Pierce Brosnan returns to act under Martin Campbell for this film, The Foreigner, in 2017. But Campbell also did one of my favorite movies ever, not just a Bond movie, but Casino Royale. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that movie. I was really surprised at that. And people had talked it up or whatever. I was like, James Bond isn't really so much for me. I was more kind of a Austin Powers man myself. but, you know, as far as spy movies are concerned. But when I actually saw Casino Royale, it just surprised me. And I actually had to own it. I was like, this movie is incredible. Why is the name of the actor Daniel Craig, right?
Yes, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, okay, man, that was just completely escaping my mind there. But yeah, Daniel Craig was incredible as James Bond in that role, and Martin Campbell, I just think, handled it beautifully. The cinematography, also a standout, you know, I mean, pour one out for Chris Cornell, but his who passed away obviously recently this year, but I think back to that song he did as well, the song for Casino Royale. I love that song. Yeah. It's not typically Soundgarden sound. It has more full-blown orchestra, but I thought it was a great song, and I listened to it many times after I saw the film. So, you know, just the way that whole project came together was just so successful. I mean, we wouldn't have all these Bond films now if that one wasn't so good.
Right. And it's really, it kind of gives this film high hopes, I think. You know,
totally.
Yeah, because Casino Royale was really, really good. You know, I was never really big into the Bond films, like even the older ones. But I remember watching Casino Royale and thinking, like, man, this is really, really good. Yeah. You know, so I'm hoping The Foreigner kind of does something. You know, it's just as good, if not hopefully better. But who knows?
Yeah, I am very excited, just again because of the cast, because is who's behind this. I have high hopes for, you know, a surprise. I'd like to see Jackie Chan, you know, kind of flex his dramatic muscles here. Yeah. You know, on top of just jumping over cars, going 100 miles an hour, and whatever else might happen. And again, like Pierce Brosnan, I think is an interesting choice for this film. But to see them side by side is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of you know, Jim Carrey, right? Mm-hmm. You know, all about the funny faces and the funny lines and the.
Oh yeah, I used to watch him on In Living Color back in the day.
Yeah. But you know, he's most known for those movies like The Mask and, you know, like Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty. But have you ever seen his film Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind?
Yeah, that movie is
it's
so crazy.
I remember
I like that movie.
Yeah, I remember looking at it and thinking, is that really is that Jim Carrey? Is this real? Like, is this actually him? You know, because it's so different from a lot of his previous roles. You know, like Truman Show was a little bit different, but he still kind of had that, you know, like sense of humor about him. But Eternal Sunshine was very serious throughout. And I feel like this is kind of Jackie Chan's Eternal Sunshine, you know, where it's like he's been this humorous action hero for a long time now. And now he's playing this very serious, almost like kind of sadistic in a way character.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, he's very driven, right? He's very driven to his ends, and he has a checkered past. It seems like, you know, that there's more behind him than just, you know, a guy out for revenge.
Right.
But so I'm very excited. You know, I didn't think in 2017 I'd be excited for a Jackie Chan movie, but here we are.
Yeah. Next thing that would get me excited is Rush Hour 4, but who knows if that'll ever happen.
Who knows?
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk about a game I've been playing a lot for the past few days that I did not expect I'd be playing as much of.
Let's talk about video games. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do that. So I've been playing a lot of Game Dev Tycoon, which is a little bit meta.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tycoon game. If you haven't played any of those, you know, it's basically like kind of business management kind of a deal. But for this one, you're instead managing a game developer. You start, you know, as like a dude in the garage in early 90s, you know, just like one guy, you know, making games for like what they do is they have like joke names for the console. So instead of like the NES, it's like the TES. Like
but you know what it is. It's like tongue in cheek.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like the PlayStation's the Play System, so on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you start off in like only developing games for the PC or the Commodore 64.
It goes all the way back there.
Yeah, it does. And that's then cool. You know, you hear on like this company Nintendo is about to release a new console, a home console that a lot of people are going to like. And you know, kind of goes on from there. It follows gaming history up to the I believe the PS3 360 generation.
Cool.
I did add a mod to it that extended the lifespan to the PS4 and Xbox One generation, which was kind of
funny.
Cool.
So that was made by the community then?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's a community mod. But all the game is you saying, okay, I want to make like, you choose your topic. So like, I want to make a sci-fi game. Then you choose your genre. So like, it's a sci-fi action game. And I'm going to call it like Space Butts. And you know, I'll gear it towards like, you know, the young audience. And it'll be on the Nintendo DS. And then you have a bunch of sliders on like, so what's more important here, gameplay or story? Or, you know, what's more important, a good engine or better AI, you know, that kind of stuff. So you kind of tweak it based on what you think is best for that genre choice.
Okay.
You know, like for a good action game, you know, maybe like if it's a platformer, AI isn't as important as level design or something like that, you know? So you have to have a good working knowledge of different kinds of video games that you want to make. And it's all about making money so you can get a bigger office, hire more people to work for you, and then you can hopefully by the end of it start making like really big games and make a name for yourself in the gaming industry.
So what's the feedback that you get like based on the decisions you make, right? Like if you're deciding all these sliders, is it like how much the game sells? Is it like the reviews?
Yeah. Both? So once you release a game, you get review scores back. There are like 4 review scores that come by, then they average them together to give like your game that base review score. And then you see how many sales the game makes after the reviews come in. Now, partway through the game, there's a mechanic called hype. So you know you can hype a game up a lot. You know, you go to E3 every year and
interesting.
Get a big booth, and then you have a lot of hype. So maybe if your game isn't good, like if all the reviewers give it bad scores, but you still hype it up like a lot, you're still probably going to make some sales, but you know, maybe you'll feel a little sleazy about it because
mirroring real life.
Yeah.
A little too closely.
A little too close.
So if I was modding this game, I would make a mod where you don't have to give anything to the media to review. You just hit the YouTube button and then just get automatic 100s.
I don't remember seeing a mod like that. It's still very like, you know, old school video game media stuff.
Influencer mod installed.
Yeah, we have a creator cave at E3 this year.
Oh gosh, yeah.
No, I think like what was really fun about the game, I didn't play it alone. I played it with my roommates. Like we all sat down in the living room. I used the Steam Link to play the game downstairs with them. And what made it really fun was just bouncing ideas off each other. and, kind of joking around about it. And I think the game provides a really good, platform for that to happen. And, so you grab a couple beers with your friends, and you just sit around and pretend to be game developers for a night. So what we ended up doing is we named our company Ubersoft.
Yeah,
which we later found out that in the game, publishers can give you like a publishing deal. Like, if you make this game for us, we'll give you X like royalties. And
this game goes deep.
It does. And Ubersoft is like their joke name for Ubisoft.
Oh, that's funny. But you thought it before you even knew.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then we had like all kinds of franchises. Like, we had Diddley. Like, he was our Sonic.
Let me ask you, so I mean, gosh, the possibilities of this game seem endless. Like, is there any kind of like structure to like what genre games you make, or is it really just fill in the blank, like let your mind run wild? Or
yeah, you kind of fill in the blank. Like, there are limitations. So you have the genres, and there are only, I think, 6 genres in the game. There's like action, adventure, RPG, simulation, strategy, and casual.
Okay.
And
filthy casuals.
Yeah. But that obviously doesn't, like, those 6 words do not cover the multitude of games we have today.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's definitely a lot of you filling in your own blanks. So, like, to make a platformer, what we did is we chose a topic of like platform, and then the genre like action. So in our heads, that was a platformer. That may not have translated as well to the game's engine, but this game's all about having your own kind of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. And man, it goes deeper than, like, now that I'm thinking about it, because they have you can create sequels, like just direct sequels to games, and then the game, like the Game Dev Tycoon actually like analyzes it based on it being a sequel, so it like factors in how good the first game was to like generate the hype for the second game, and so on. So if you make a sequel to a bad game, it may not sell as well because that first game was such a flop.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah.
So is there any kind of like demographic like insights into your audience? Like, what are they looking for? Were they anticipating? How old are they? Anything like that?
No, I mean, so you can target your game to like young, everyone, or mature audiences. And every now and then there's like a window that pops up saying there's like a marketing trend toward, like, right now strategy games are really popular. So if you make a strategy game, it'll get a boost on how much it sells, just because strategy games are hip at that
catching
time.
The wave.
Right. But that's about as far as it goes in terms of, making a game for your audience directly.
Can you put DRM in your games?
No, but you can create Steam.
You can create like a commerce site?
Yeah, you can create a digital distribution platform. They call it Grid, but yeah, it's
interesting.
Steam. It's basically Steam.
Dude, this game's crazy. Is it? And I'm assuming it's on Steam now. Is it all PC only?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Well, I think there's a phone version of it now as well. But it definitely started on PC.
Do you know how much it is?
Oh, no, I don't. I think maybe it's like less than $10 for sure.
Oh, okay. It's not like a full price kind of thing.
I don't imagine.
Yeah. What do you know when it came out?
It came out a couple years ago, because I remember kickstarting it, or not kickstarting it, but like hearing about this game that was being made by Green Heart Games, and they were saying, hey, like, try out this free like beta demo version. Like, it was, back before the game was fully a game.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they were kind of marketing and being like, hey, try this game out and see if you like it, then maybe support us. So I didn't like kickstart them or anything. I don't think they did a Kickstarter, but I thought, hey, this game's cool, I'll buy it. I think it was like 2013.
Okay.
When the
yeah,
game
have you ever I'm curious, have you ever heard of Game Dev Story?
No.
Man, that is basically the iOS version of this, I want to say, and it came out like right around 2010, 2011. But it sounds very similar to this. Like, you can go to E3 and stuff, and you start and your own game developer, and you work on like really just ridiculous. Like, I remember I made a baseball RPG or like a cab driving simulator, like really like eccentric, genres that don't actually exist, or maybe would be cool if they did exist. But part of the fun also was like interviewing like employees and hiring them and deciding, what their strengths were. And your game was kind of based on the strengths of your team. That's what, kind of determined the success or the failure of the game and what the game excelled at, right? Like, if you had a really good composer on your team, then the music was like 10 out of 10. If you had a really good technical artist, then your graphics were like blown out, your graphical rating, etc. So, and you could never have a perfect game that had just 10 out of 10 of everything. You had to kind of mix and match and decide where you really wanted to invest your resources. So I remember really fond memories of that game. You talking about this now makes me want to kind of go back into game dev story. But yeah, I mean, this game sounds kind of like the natural progression. I'm definitely going to kind of look it up and at least watch some video on it. Are there any Twitch streamers playing this game?
I doubt it.
Is there an analog to Twitch in this game? Like in the game?
There isn't even an analog to YouTube, I don't think.
These are ideas for the sequel.
It could be Game Dev Tycoon 2.
I want to make that Creator Cave mod just to get perfect 10s every time, no matter how crappy the game is.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a great platform. It'd be a great platform for lots of jokes during real life. Like take YouTubers' names and joke about them.
Duty Pie.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. Oh, that'd be really funny. Actually, this might be a thing. Hopefully we're inspiring some programmer with the know-how to make this. So
that'd be wonderful.
Man, that sounds cool. Like a cool game. That's Game Dev Tycoon on PC. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming probably Mac.
Yeah, it is $10 on Steam right now. So grab it if it interests you. Definitely better with friends, I think. Just couch co-op kind of a deal. Sit around, play it. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So what about you, Jack? What have you been playing?
It's so hard sometimes, Robert. It's so hard to get away from a Blizzard game when you are just neck deep into it.
Yeah,
this has happened with. I've just lost control with World of Warcraft back in the day. I've absolutely lost control. I'm probably 400 or 500 hours into Diablo 3, and it's happening again with Overwatch. Like ever since we started this podcast, I've kind of re-fallen in love with this game.
I think you've mentioned it every week.
I know, and I analyze it when I'm not playing it. I'm thinking about it. I'm actually really heavy into competitive mode now, which why did I wait till season 5 to start?
Everyone jumps in. Everyone has to jump in sometime.
It's for, what is it? It's bragging rights. Who cares? It's about testing your skill, but for a lot of people, and for me, the carrot on the stick is kind of getting that sweet gold gun at the end. But then again, what is this all for? What am I doing with my life? But I can't stop thinking about it. Overwatch is that good. It's really good. I mean, how many Game of the Year awards did it get last year? And I when I moved cross country, I didn't play for a very long time. I mean, you probably saw that I wasn't on for months at a time, and now all of a sudden it's just kind of kicked back in. So I understand there's a new character they're teasing now. Is that right?
Yeah, Doomfist. He's finally here. Well, maybe, most likely. So Doomfist, he's kind of been mentioned, I think, even before Overwatch came out. I don't know if you remember this, but there was that one cinematic they released where it was Tracer and Winston fighting Reaper and Widow in a museum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was this the announcement trailer?
Yeah, something like that. It was definitely before the game was released. And in that museum, you'd see the Doomfist, and that kid picked up the Doomfist, and used it.
Wait. Is the Doomfist a dude or is the Doomfist a fist?
Right. Okay. So the Doomfist is a gauntlet, right? And then whoever wears it, people just colloquially call it, that's Doomfist.
So who wears the Doomfist is forever known as Doomfist.
Right. And so far in the lore, people have believed that there are 3 different Doomfists. There was the first one. I think his name was the Scourge.
Okay.
And then the second one was the Savior. Or maybe I might be.
I think it's reverse, actually. I think it was the Savior and then the Scourge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first two's identities were confirmed. When you see posters of them, you actually see their features.
In the maps. They're kind of hiding in the background when you're playing the game. You have to kind of hunt for this information. It's not all laid out for you.
Right. But the third one in those posters, he's always blacked out. All you see is the Doomfist gauntlet, colored, and you see it. But the rest of that man is silhouetted. So, you can't really tell who or what they are.
Building the mystery.
Yeah. So what Blizzard released a couple days, well, actually, I think it was 2 days ago. They released an article, a fake, in the Overwatch universe news story about how Talon, who's made up of Reaper, Sombra, and Widowmaker, broke into Helix, a really high security prison, and broke Doomfist out of it.
Okay.
So now Doomfist is on the loose.
So he's obviously going to be coming. Maybe, I mean, I would assume this year if they're teasing it. I'd assume he's a new character probably this year, probably this fall.
Yeah, I mean, people are speculating that he might drop this month, actually.
Oh, that soon?
Yeah, because what last month was it was like the event, the anniversary event, right?
Oh, so it might be the new event.
Well, next month is going to be the summer games.
Okay.
So people are speculating like during this down month they'll release Doomfist as a new hero.
Interesting. So is that his hand in the point that you escort?
Yeah, in Numbani.
Is that his hand?
That is, but I don't know if you noticed, but after the Orisa update, the last hero, like you remember how Numbani now on the attack base, like you see those OR-15s like smashed into the wall and stuff.
That wasn't there before, now it is, yeah.
That was Doomfist who did that. I don't know if you noticed as well, but on the payload, the gauntlet is gone.
Oh,
the gauntlet isn't there anymore. Yeah,
I haven't even paid that much attention to it, but wow, I'm definitely gonna look for it. That's crazy. Okay, cool. So that's just another cool way of storytelling in a multiplayer only game. Like, how does Blizzard manage to do that? Like build anticipation, build lore in a game where you literally are not playing out any kind of cohesive story as you're actually playing the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of brings you back to the Sombra ARG. I don't know if you were following that when Sombra was being like teased a lot, but there was a lot of, when you watch new trailers and stuff like that, there are like little glitches hidden in the video where if you like freeze that frame and then you analyze that glitch, it gives you a hint toward like when Sombra might be coming out. They did stuff like that, leading up to Sombra, which was really, thematic as well, because Sombra's like the hacker, like she's all about glitches in the system and stuff.
I didn't know she was a bad guy until you just said that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Either. I had no idea.
Yeah. I mean, her motivations are a little bit muddled, because like, sure, she's a bad guy because she works with Reaper and Widow, but like she does things for her, like you can tell she has her own motivations as well. And it's hard to tell if her motivations are in line with Reaper and Widow's or if she's just using them for some higher purpose.
Okay. You think about this a lot, I can tell.
I mean, not a lot, but I'm a stickler for story.
I hear you, and like I said, it's just more impressive that they can get people to care about the story in a multiplayer only game. That that many speculate had a large single player component or a kind of PvE component that has since been cut,
right?
From whatever Titan was.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm glad like Overwatch is as successful as it is. And now it's gotten to the point where it's like the reverse, where people are asking the Overwatch team to make some kind of single player campaign, which I mean, it's one thing to ask for it, but it's another thing to actually develop something like that, because they'd basically be developing a whole new game.
I want to see an animated movie by the same team that does those animated shorts. I want to see a full length feature. And that takes a lot of courage for me to publicly state after World of Warcraft came out. And ended up how it was. Like, who in their right mind would, ask for, a game by Blizzard again to be made into a movie after what happened with World of Warcraft's film?
Well, I think the difference there, though, right, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't follow WoW that much, but WoW hasn't really been the kind of game where they'd release little shorts about their heroes and their story, right?
The cinematics in WoW, just like every other Blizzard game, though, has been industry leading. By far, and that's the thing. I don't want please no. I don't want a live action adaptation of Overwatch.
Oh, jeez.
Nobody asked for that. Nobody wants that.
No, I'd rather have an Overwatch anime than that.
Get Bryan Singer on it. It'd probably be like a terrible version of like one of the X-Men movies, like the bad ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be so terrible now that I think about it. Oh, but no, I want to see, like, again, the internal Blizzard team, because I think those animated shorts are so awesome. I love the Hanzo Genji one. I love that one. I love the I really like the Bastion one. And you have to think like they're probably gonna, at the end of the day when it's all said and done, they're probably gonna have one for every character, I would hope.
Yeah. Hopefully.
There's some kind of to cover the whole roster. So let's get back to Doomfist real quick. I mean, what do you think he's gonna do? What do you think he's gonna be? Like, how do you think he's gonna play?
So I really hope that he's a tank, and obviously he's going to use his Doomfist. Like, there's no way that
you can't be called Doomfist, and like not use that fist.
Yeah. So I really
one good
hope,
fist, man.
I really hope he's another melee based character, because the only melee based character in our game right now is Reinhardt and half of Genji. when he ults. But we don't have any other character that their whole MO is to run up to you and slap you around. And I'd really like to see more of that, because I think it adds some very interesting, like, new kind of play in Overwatch. And I'd like to think maybe he's like a highly mobile tank. So imagine like Winston, but instead of a zappy gun, he punches your face off.
He has like karate moves or some kind of cool melee attacks, throws them bows or something on top of his fist.
Yeah, like that to me would be really cool, I think, because it'll definitely diversify the meta, and it'd actually be perfect too, because the meta right now is like very dive comp based.
Right. That's all I see. I almost never see any shield comp.
Right. And because of that, like Winston is kind of the main tank all the time. So I'd love for them to release an alternative to Winston, because you kind of have Diva, but she plays her own role in that she can also like eat people's like projectiles and whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see another character where all he is about is just like going as hard as possible, just dive deep into the enemy team and do whatever you can.
Could be cool. No, it could make for some very interesting plays, and some highlights. So I hope it comes out. I mean, there was rumors that Terry Crews is going to be the voice for Doomfist. I really hope that comes true.
I'd love that.
That would be so awesome. There's just too much information out there that's kind of leading people to go down that road, but we'll see. Blizzard's pretty good at keeping a secret, and leaks don't come out very often from Blizzard land.
Yeah, and sometimes you even feel like the leaks are directly from Blizzard. Like Blizzard wanted those leaks to happen to build hype.
Yeah, exactly. So that I'm looking forward to it. I mean, hopefully you're right and comes out this month. That'd be so cool.
Right. So while we're talking about Overwatch, I kind of want to talk about another game I've been playing that I'm pretty sure everyone's going to compare to Overwatch in one way or another.
Okay.
And that's Clifford Blazinski's LawBreakers.
Clifford B. I had to say it. Sorry, I couldn't.
Clifford B.
Clifford B. All right. Yeah. LawBreakers. Talk about it.
LawBreakers. So they had an open beta on probably the worst week ever during the Steam Summer Sale. And it actually ended the same day the Steam Summer Sale. It was bad. It was bad choice overall.
Advised.
Yes. But no, it's arena shooter 5v5. It's all about high skill ceiling.
So let me ask you real quick. It's on PC only right now.
PC beta. And the open beta is over now. But the open beta was only on PC. They're doing a closed beta currently on the PS4. And LawBreakers should drop on both of them on August 8th.
Xbox One?
Nope, no Xbox One.
Oh, PS4 exclusive, at least timed exclusive, probably.
Yeah, so PS4 and Windows 10 for now.
Interesting. Yeah, so that skill ceiling, talk about that.
Yeah, so out of all my friends that I've told to play LawBreakers, Jack included, I think I'm the only person that has more than an hour logged into the game. I'm sitting at 7 hours, or I was sitting at 7 hours for the beta until it was over. And I don't know. I was trying to think.
You played it every day.
Yeah. I haven't played it for the past 2 or 3 days, but I keep trying to think, because I remember, Jack, when you and I played it, you were like, okay, you got to sell me this game, Robert. I'm not getting it. And
it's so okay. If you told me, hey, we're releasing a game, it's a throwback to kind of the 90s shooters, I feel like, on paper, I'd be all on board. But then in practice, like you said, I just felt like totally inept. I was like, I don't know how to use a mouse and keyboard anymore. I don't know what I'm looking at. It was just so insane. I mean, I'll let you talk a little bit more before I start tearing it up, but
yeah, I mean, because you're not the only one of my friends who that was like, what is it that you like so much about this game? And I still can't quite pinpoint what exactly it is. I mean, I was enjoying the idea of, like, oh, I can get better at this. It's like that grind to be competent in the game. Like, I still feel incredibly accomplished when I get a double kill, which is like pretty minor in terms of, like your achievements that you could do in any shooter.
Yeah.
But I usually play the character, the Wraith, who a lot of people hated from what I was gathering. But the Wraith was essentially, it's like a very high mobility character that can shoot you with a submachine gun and then stab you with a knife, like a really powerful knife when they get up close.
So another way this is compared to Overwatch is that it's kind of class-based.
Yes, there were 8 classes during the beta, and it looked like there was one more that maybe they're hiding for until the official release, maybe.
Yeah.
And see, okay, so what's tough is, I want to say this off the bat, is that I think comparing it to Overwatch is a little, it has to come with caveats because they're not too comparable, I think. Like, they're both class-based shooters, but Overwatch is at such a different pace, and it's such a different game, I think. Yeah. Like, you know, the ult economy is a big thing in Overwatch, whereas the ult economy, I feel like in LawBreakers isn't as big a deal. It feels like in LawBreakers you can definitely carry your team a lot more than in Overwatch. Mm-hmm. So
interesting. Because everyone sucks at it. So if you get one guy that's good, he's going to carry the team.
Right. So I think it's tough to compare them, and it might just also be because I had limited time with the game with LawBreakers to be able to finalize a good opinion on it. But it's so 90s. It's so retro. Even the music, like, and it's an independently developed game, is it not? Boss Key Studio, started by Cliffy B. So
yeah, that's cool. You know, I mean, they're doing kind of what you would expect if Cliffy B said, "Hey, I'm doing another shooter. I'm the guy behind Unreal. I'm the guy behind Gears of War." This is kind of like, I can see that lineage in this, you know, and it's just kind of dripping with like 90s. You know, the thing about it that kind of rubs me the wrong way is just how so damn serious the game takes itself. Like, it's so hilarious to me, but it's not in on the joke. It's not in on its own 90s throwback. It's taking it serious. Like, it's just it's like listening to the first Korn album again. Kind of for me. God. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Like, oh, these guys think this is cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a time where it was cool. You know, it is so hard. It's doing some really interesting things, though. I mean, with the kind of I think the reason why it's called LawBreakers, I'm just speculating, is probably because you're breaking the laws of gravity. Is kind of why I thought it was called LawBreakers, because there's like this kind of like black hole mechanic or anti-gravity field mechanic where you can kind of propel yourself. You know, you basically have like spaceship controls for these designated areas. And then one really cool thing is that I think if you hit control, you can shoot backwards. And it made me think like, wow, why did it take so long for first person shooters to do this? Why hasn't anyone thought of this before? There are some really cool ideas there. It's the execution that I'm wondering about. I remember this game. Oh man, I can't remember exactly how long it was, maybe 5-6 years ago, called Brink.
Do you remember Brink? That game. I remember that game.
It had a great vision, had a great art style, had a lot of things going for it. There were a lot of people on that dev team. Yeah, there were a lot of people on that dev team that did their job and did it well. But when it came down to controller in hand, how does the game feel? That's where it failed. And this is kind of, I'm getting deja vu a little bit with this. Like, there's a lot of good ideas here. It's just maybe the execution. I mean, it flies in the face, right? It's so hard to be good. It's so hard to live longer than 30 seconds for me that it takes a lot of gall, I think, in this post-Overwatch world to make a game that is so for elite PC, you know, like the people that care about their DPS on their mouse, that care about what kind of mouse pad they use. Like, I feel like this is like, you know, upper echelon kind of multiplayer shooters compared to anything else I can think of. Overwatch, not just that, but also you know, Team Fortress 2, I think you could compare, but even as far as Battlefield and Battlefront as well. Like, you know, all these games have kind of adopted the more, let's have a more accessible experience, a wider audience. Let's make some money with this game. Whereas LawBreakers is like, no, forget that. Like, you come elite, you know, or you don't come at all.
Yeah. I don't know. When I look at the game, I think it has its audience. But what I'd be worried about is this is the same audience that's like really into like Quake, for example, right? Like, Quake is a very high skill ceiling shooter as well. Mm-hmm. The trouble is Quake Champions is also coming out this year. If I remember right, maybe like a September release date or something. Okay. But it's definitely in beta right now. You can easily play the beta right now too. Like, I've got a beta key. It's pretty easy to get. So not only is it competing with the market share that Overwatch has, right? Because like Overwatch is like kind of the shooter to play right now. I think
1,000,000%.
Yeah. But not only is it trying to compete with that, but it's also competing with another shooter that kind of fills the same ilk that LawBreakers is trying to fill. Mm-hmm. And it's a very, you know, storied one of Quake. You know, like, people know what Quake is. Even if you've never played it, people have heard the word Quake. Yeah. And they associate it with some kind of online, you know, high-paced shooter. So LawBreakers is competing with essentially a industry legend, and a legend in the making in the name of Overwatch, I think.
Right.
And it's tough to, like, I don't want to have to say this, but it's tough to see Lawbreakers being wildly successful. I think it'll have its own niche. It'll have its community for sure. But I don't see it, like taking over Twitch streams, having huge YouTube videos about it.
It'll be hot. It'll be one of those games that just fall into that hole, I feel. I'm sorry to say, but like they're kind of there for 2 weeks and then, nothing. And then you could, what is it now? $30, $40?
$30. Cliffy B said that it's not going to be any higher.
Oh, they're not going to release like ultra versions, gold versions, and all this with different features or unlocks, or.
I mean, that hasn't been confirmed nor denied, but so far the base game is set at $30 flat.
Okay, well they have loot boxes, right? So they're going to be selling you loot boxes. You better believe. I just think hey, best of luck to them. The game's not for me. I hope it does find an audience. I hope it's successful for them because I do encourage indie developers to do new things and break new ground. This game is trying to, kind of stand out with its own identity. And like I said, there are cool things it does. But it really made me think, like, it made me analyze, like, why am I not enjoying this? Why am I constantly being gravitated toward, no pun intended, why am I constantly like being pulling into Overwatch? And I was thinking about this, man. I was just like, whenever I just have free time, I'll analyze, like, what is it about this game that's making it so awesome? And when we go back to Overwatch, I never really considered, after all the dozens and dozens of hours I've played, like, you really take for granted how well Overwatch communicates information to you, how efficiently it does it. I mean, if you really think about it, like, that game and that developer pays all their attention to the individual, to your experience playing that game. It doesn't care at all about the other people. From your perception, the other people are just periphery. It's all about your special experience as you're playing it, and everyone's having their own special, unique experience with every game. So let me illustrate what I mean. Your team is always blue. The other team is always red. And that's your experience. But also the other team, they're having the same experience. Their team is always blue in their eyes. And the other team is always red, right? It's not like, oh, I'm team red, I'm team blue now. You're always just team blue. And you're always against team red. And it's very efficiently communicated to you. Also, when you pull up, when the match is about to start and you pull up the roster of all the people that are in it, again, you are always at the center of the experience. Your character is always in the bottom left corner. And everyone else's character is lined up. So you see a unique screen, whereas everyone else is seeing the same thing. They themselves are in that bottom left corner, and everyone else is kind of spread out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that is a very deliberate design to make it easy to communicate information again. And I mean, that it's just so pervasive throughout everything. When you're losing health, when you're hitting, when you're making contact, when you're making kills. It also is a game that doesn't just grant you a kill for a last hit like Call of Duty or other games. It actually grants you a kill if you do damage.
Yeah, elimination.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a kind of an innovation in that space as well. But I could go on and on about it, but it just made me think, like, wow, this really efficiently communicates so much information to you as you play, and it's kind of subconscious. You don't even really think about it unless you stop and analyze it. And that was something that was kind of missing in Lawbreakers for me, was that it just felt so cacophonous. It felt like I was just running into the meat grinder over and over and over again, and I'm trying to learn the game, but at the same time, I'm trying just not to get decapitated, basically. There's some really cool ideas. There's, like, sliding and kicking and different, mechanics based on whatever class you're playing, and there will be a meta there. I just hope the game sticks around long enough for it to be fully fleshed out.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say, like, I felt that same thing about Lawbreakers in my first hour or so with the game. After you have to kind of keep beating your head to that wall to finally start to get things to click a little more, so I've found myself kind of enjoying it more when like in the last few hours I was playing as a Wraith. Like, I felt, I started being able to think of the game like more strategically, thinking like, oh, that guy's a gunslinger. I shouldn't run straight at him. I should probably turn around, take a right here, and, go around and try to flank. You know what I mean? Like, I start making those same tactical decisions that I've done in Overwatch for like months now, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it takes some time to get used to what Lawbreakers is giving you. The trouble is the beta was tough because I don't think matchmaking was done well. Like they'd match you up on your very first game with people who've been playing it for a while.
Right.
And it just felt really unfair. And like, you'd end the game with like less than 100 points in your score while everyone on the enemy team is like 4,000, 6,000 points.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably part of the reason why I was dying so quickly, for sure.
Right. And I think the trouble too with Lawbreakers when you're trying to break into the shooter space now is that Overwatch has a stranglehold on like they've got good characters. Like if I feel like part of me feels like I can't forever retire from Overwatch because I disappoint like Reinhardt and I disappoint Diva. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, it's not a real feeling. Like, I know they're characters and they're fictional characters, but it's the idea of like, man, I'll never see that friend of mine again. I'll never see Lucio again.
They have so much personality is what you're really trying to say. They're just
right. Whereas with Lawbreakers, here's the thing. They do have characters, right? Like each class, like there's the Law side and the Breaker side, like the blue and the red side, basically. Mm-hmm. And each of the classes has a character that has personality, kind of, but it felt very flat to me. Like, for example, one of the Wraiths, I couldn't tell you which side. I couldn't tell you if it's the Law Wraith or the Breaker's Wraith, which is part of the problem probably. Like every now and then when he gets a kill, he's like hashtag you're dead, bro.
Oh, I forgot the dialogue is very cringy.
It is very
I totally
cringy.
forgot. It's not that's the thing. It's not like, oh, we're saying funny things like to get a laugh. I didn't get that impression of it. I like to think I have a decent sense of humor, but I got it this like, oh, this game thinks this is cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you see Vanilla Ice's haircut for the first time. It's just real like oh, somebody tell him, somebody tell him.
Right. But aside from that, like when you hear that character say hashtag you're dead, bro, even though it's not the best writing, you do get an idea of like, okay, that's what this character is like, right? Which is cool and all, but like I don't care about, I don't know your name, I don't know your history, I don't know anything about you. No. Whereas Overwatch, they did a class job. Like before the game even released, they had a couple cinematics out and like, how the characters acted in the cinematics gave you an idea of like, for example, that one cinematic where it's Tracer and Widow's trying to kill that like super famous Omnic person.
Yeah.
And Tracer's trying to stop her. Like in that like 5-6 minute cinematic, you get the sense like, okay, Widow's very evil and she's willing to do whatever she needs to do to get the job done. And Tracer, like, she seems like a real go-getter, but maybe she doesn't know what's the best thing to do all the time. You know what I mean? Like you get these little hints about the characters, which
you come away feeling like you know them that much better. They again efficiently communicate ideas, to you subconsciously sometimes, with dialogue, but also just with good character acting and good blocking and good cinematography. One thing, it's just no small feat, but Boss Key here with Lawbreakers, let's not, sell it short. They are trying to make a professional sport. This game will live and die on whether or not this becomes an esport, which is a term I hate kind of, but you know what I mean? Like it needs to be an esport or it's not going to have any legs. That's really what is going to determine it. So they're going full on for that. I will say this, after playing the game and just being so terrible at it, feeling like I don't even know how to play video games anymore. If I saw someone good at it, I'd be like, oh wow, they have a lot of skill, Yeah. And then what? Take my money. I don't know if I'd buy the game because of that, but I'd be like, oh, they're good at that game I'm really not good at. Good for them. like, hey, that guy can dunk a basketball. He's tall. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. He's tall. He can do that.
Yeah. He's cool.
Yeah. I think for me, I don't think I'd buy it right now. I wouldn't pay $30 for it right now. I'd maybe buy it on a sale. Like if it went down to $20 or something, I'd maybe pick it up. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to justify playing it because I feel like Lawbreakers is one of those games where it has to be always in your rotation. Like you need to always be playing that game. Like if you go a day without playing that game, you're going to get worse. It feels like you're practicing.
Yeah. Also, just 10,000 hours is all it's going to take to be a master at it. So yeah. With all the hours in the day, it'll only take you like a little over 5 years. No big deal.
Yeah. And I mean, because like when again, this is me comparing it to Overwatch, but it's also like the shooter of the time.
It's completely unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's a post Overwatch world in so many ways.
Right. Much in the same way, like a new MOBA is going to be compared to League of Legends. Like there's no matter what they do that's different, it's going to be compared to League of Legends because it's trying to take that same share of people.
The MOBAs came and went. Like, they all were developed, they all were released, they all failed except for Dota and League of Legends, So right. I think if anyone tried to even approach that genre now, you're crazy.
Yeah. But what I think is it's like when I play Overwatch, I don't just play one character. You know, I have a huge slew. Like Jack, you and I have played together. You know, I have a pretty big roster of characters I can play. Pretty much all the tanks and all the supports. And
people usually have about 5 or 6 characters that play a lot, but I don't know anyone that like plays all the characters well. That's really cool about the game, though, I think.
Right. But part of the game is the idea that if you're the last person to pick on your team, you'll probably have some hero in your rotation that can fit the role that the other 5 people on your team aren't fitting, right?
Exactly.
So it makes you feel more skilled in that you're versatile. You know, like maybe you couldn't lock in your Soldier 76, but his skill set's pretty transferable to like McCree. So you can maybe pick up McCree instead. Whereas with Lawbreakers, I have maybe 6 hours logged into the Wraith. And I feel like if I picked another class to play as, I would just lose everything.
Yeah.
I'd be starting the game all over again.
Yeah.
You know, like there are maybe a couple things you pick up, like maybe the mechanics of the zero gravity and stuff like that. But all the classes feel very different, which I guess is a good thing, right? Because, you know, like each class is well defined. Mm-hmm. But in terms of a player, it's hard to say that you'll be able to play a ton of classes, you know, and like master a ton of classes at once.
Right.
Like, I feel like I'd want, like, if I bought the game and I were serious about playing it starting in August, I'd probably only play the Wraith for a while, for a long time.
Yeah, if I ever picked up that game again, I would pick one character and just stick with it and just get good at that because, like you said, man, I think it takes a lot of gall, honestly, to make a game this hard. Mm-hmm. You know, like now, again, in this post-Overwatch world, like, they are making it difficult to get into this game, which is a risky business move. High risk, high reward, I think.
Yeah. But I think we've been talking about Lawbreakers enough. Come August, we'll see how it does with the reviews. We'll see what the critics officially think of it. But let's move on to our next segment of the show.
Oh, shuck and duck it. I'm looking forward to this. I've been wanting to do kind of music on the podcast for ever since, back on LAN days. Yeah. Back, yesteryear, I've been wanting to do this kind of thing. And Collin, sorry we picked the week that you aren't here. But, if people like this and they want us to do it again, like, I'm all for it. I'll talk about it a little bit. So Robert and I were figuring out, like, man, 2-man show. What are we going to do to kind of keep it fresh, keep it going? And I was like, hey, like, let's bring some of our favorite video game music, into it. And let's talk about it a little bit, because that video game music, I just think is such a clutch part of a core part, of our pop culture. It's just, and I don't think it gets enough really attention, and the composers and just the people in the games industry. I just think need a little bit more attention put on them. So that's what I'm hoping to shed light on with this. So Robert and I this week, we picked two pieces of music from games that we think of fondly. I don't really know what your criteria was, Robert. Maybe you can talk about it. But for me, I picked 2 games that when I think about the games, I think about the experience playing. I just get really, like, those warm fuzzies come back, and it just always makes me feel good. They say, right, like, music is the best way to kind of kickstart your memory, right? Music and, like, smell, right? Like, aren't those like the 2 things that, like, really, like, get vibrant memories to pop in your head again? So I always think back, to back in the day when I hear this music. So what was your criteria, Robert?
Yeah, so my criteria, I was thinking, what song, when it plays, does it make me feel like it was my first day playing that game again? Or, like, my first hour booting that game up and thinking, like, oh, this is going to be one hell of a ride. Mm-hmm. And usually those songs too, they give me kind of like chills. I can't tell if it's maybe the song itself that gives me chills or like the memories they evoke that's giving me the chills. But either way, it's like a good sign, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just kind of picked 2 songs that I thought, these are games that are definitely near and dear to my heart and, like, have been with me for a while. Okay. And these songs probably, like, maybe not necessarily epitomizes my experience with those games, but it's like when I hear these songs, I'm definitely like, back in that saddle, like back playing that game again.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about them either. Like, we're gonna play them. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You can go ahead and go first. It's your segment.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, man, one of the best soundtracks in video games, period, is from last generation, and it's from Nier, a game that was released in 2010, published by Square Enix, but developed by Cavia. And the music was actually released on multiple albums, multiple remixes, multiple releases in Japan, actually charted nationally on their charts. And
oh, really?
The composer's name is, I'm going to mess up this name, but it's Keiichi Okabe, I think is how you pronounce his name. And the name of the song is Hills of Radiant Winds. But yeah, it's just one of those songs that it just kind of infinitely loops forever and ever, and you never get sick of it. I remember when I was in college, I would play this in the background and study to it for literally hours, and just kept me focused and kept me feeling positive, and just kept me up. And it's just so beautiful. They went so far as to hire a full-time linguist to develop a foreign language that didn't exist in this world, in this game world, and they have a singer that actually did the vocals in this kind of made up new language. Emmy Evans is the name of the female vocalist, and it's just beautiful. It just comes together just so flawlessly. And again, one of the best pieces of video game music, in my opinion, ever composed, but certainly of that generation, one of the best soundtracks.
I never played Nier, so in what part of the game does this play?
It's kind of like the overworld. It's kind of like where you're going from. It's kind of a semi-open world, so it's kind of when you're traveling, when you're doing a lot of your grinding, a lot of your leveling up, when you're going from place to place. It's kind of like the overworld music overall. It's kind of like a Nier is such a unique game as well. Just the first one on PS3. It's an RPG, but it's also got shooter components to it, just like Nier Automata. It's just such a fresh genre. I mean, it didn't do the numbers it needed to initially, but then as word got around and YouTube videos were made, it just started snowballing into and building this huge cult following, which is why, because it has such a rabid following, and because the price of the game was skyrocketing over $100 to get it used, for a game that recently came out, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that would happen. But because the fan base, really pretty much demanded it, is why the sequel exists.
Okay, so would you say that, how do I put this? So what's your favorite memory with that song? Is that when you hear that song, what's the thing that kind of comes to mind first about Nier?
Just the crazy desaturated art style. Really, just the way that they really went all in creating a world. Again, it's because there's this strange female voice in it. You don't understand what she's saying, and no one understands it because it's a made-up language. It's just how, and just the skill and artistry that is normally reserved for full-length feature film movies. To see that effort being put into a game, again, is so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of effort is even in movies, it doesn't happen that often, I can only maybe think of a handful of pieces of media that go as far as creating their own language and, to help bolster this idea of this is a brave new world that no one's ever seen or been to or lived in.
And they have followed this up very well as well. They have the singer from that song, Emmy Evans. She does vocals again for the Nier Automata soundtrack as well. Same composer, same singer, so it carries through. It's so awesome.
Would you say the soundtrack for Automata lives up to Nier, or maybe falls a little flat?
Oh, it's hard, man. I would say it falls flat. I'd say it's the next one, right? It's the next one. Yeah. It's more good stuff. I think they're both great. It's just Nier just came out of left field, came out of nowhere, and just really shook things up and moved the needle. And Nier Automata definitely upheld the tradition. So I think it was a success in that regard, where it didn't diminish at all the legacy.
Okay, that's good to hear. So one song that came to my mind when I was thinking, man, what's a really memorable game track to me? And I think the first one that came to mind for me was Baba Yetu for Civilization 4.
I can't believe you said that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My fiance, talks about that song all the time. She loves that song.
Mm-hmm. No,
and she doesn't even know it from Civilization. She just like heard it because I think it was nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's actually, I think, maybe not the only anymore, but it was the very first video game, like a song made for a video game that was nominated for a Grammy.
And won.
Which I think, and won it. Which I think is like, I mean, I feel like that's a turning point. Well, not maybe a turning point, but it's a very significant milestone in the video game music
it's historic.
World. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that on the podcast now. I love that song. I bought that song back when people bought music on iTunes. That was a weird time, right? Like I actually paid money for that.
I mean, it's a good song. If you're going to pay money for something, right, it's a good song. Mm-hmm. Composed by Christopher Tin for Civilization 4, published by 2K, developed by Firaxis. So when I think of Baba Yetu, I think of, because that you played Civilization 4, Jack?
Yeah, I play. Well, no comment. I've tried to play it multiple times. I need to get into it. I know it's a great game, but I haven't spent significant time in it.
Okay, so it's the song that plays during the opening cinematic, for Civilization 4 when you first boot up the game, and it kind of greets you with this like, you're creating your own world. That's kind of the sense I felt like, because the song, you've heard it, right? It feels worldly. It feels like the song of humanity. It gives that kind of feeling to it, and I think it just evokes so many good memories of like hours of sitting at my desk playing Civilization, like even 5 and 6. When I think about playing those games, I still think of Baba Yetu, because I don't think any Civ game has had as good a soundtrack or had as great of a song since Civilization 4.
I was going to ask, that game or that song doesn't carry over to the sequels?
No, Civilization 5 and 6 had their own songs, which, I mean, they were all right, but I mean, I couldn't tell you the names of them.
Right, they weren't Grammy Award winning. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to use that as like, that's the reason I like the song, but yeah, I only like Grammy Award winning songs. Like
Robert Scarpanito, he sticks with the winners.
Yeah. No, I enjoy that song a lot. I remember first hearing it and being like captured. Maybe I was like in middle school, I think, when I was first playing Civilization 4.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that song has been with me since. And
what language do you know? Is it Swahili?
I think it's Swahili. Yeah. I remember I looked up the lyrics once, but I forget what it all translates to. But I know it's something about.
I can tell you, it's a prayer.
Oh,
it's like Our Father who art in heaven. It's that prayer.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Baba Yetu, isn't that like Our Father or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a great song. And if do you know about Video Games Live?
Oh, so that's that symphony touring show that has like live video game music recreated with a big screen behind it with the game being played, right?
Right. They do a version of Baba Yetu that's pretty grand. I'd really recommend looking that up if you're interested in really good covers of this song.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. So what about you, Jack? What's your other very memorable?
Oh man, I get again warm fuzzies when I think about these songs. I just remember, being curled up in the Midwestern winters and having the Super Nintendo next to the big blocky fuzzy TV, the CRT TV, and playing Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. which is a contentious game, as I understand. You know, it gets some shade thrown its way, but I have to be honest, I think the game is great. I can understand what the criticisms people have from it. Little baby Mario crying is probably the single greatest influence for me not to have children ever with that game. But again, it is a game that gave us the great music that we're listening to now. And I think the name of the track is Flower Garden. And it's just such a memorable piece, and technically very impressive. You have to remember, this game came out in 1995 on a cartridge. This is before CDs were ever a thing for Nintendo, and they simulate a harmonica noise. Yeah, and it's just such happy like gardening music. I can't really describe. It's just it sounds like accordions, it sounds like guitars, there's a cool drum beat going to it. You know, it's using I know the game had the Super Effects chip in it to get the graphical effects that it had, but you know, it's using just new technology, new sounds, a very technically impressive track. Again, if you kind of transport yourself back to 1995 and realize, you know, what music sounded like on Super Nintendo. This game was composed by, I can't even, like, this man is just a legend in music, Koji Kondo. He did, I mean, I'm looking at the list in front of me right now, dude. Almost every great Nintendo soundtrack you could even consider. So Punch Out, he did Kung Fu, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Brothers World, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. He did Star Fox, Yoshi's Island, of course, Mario 64. I'm not going to read everything, but you get the idea. Like, he you know, he's still pumping out music. He's still a music supervisor for all the Nintendo games that are coming out now. So this is this man's, you know, life work. And I just think that this track is very representative of just Miyamoto and Nintendo and just what everyone loves about their games. And, you know, it's just a great example of just feeling good.
So walk me through that part of the game. You know, what are you doing in the game when that sound kicks in? Like, what's that thing you think
You're
about?
kind of admiring the graphics. You're like, wow, I'm in a child's coloring book that's been brought to life. And I'm in this garden. And you're not really playing the role of Mario anymore, even though it's a Super Mario Brothers game. You're playing Yoshi, and you're kind of escorting baby Mario. And you're just kind of really, it's the first level, and you're just really getting a grip for the mechanics and how eating is a big part of the game, and then shooting out shells, and you have to aim your shots. It's really about angles, and a game about kind of managing resources, because you can only have 6 shells kind of on cue to shoot at any time, and you can't progress in the game unless you're making your shots. So, and also keeping baby Mario safe, which is when you get hit is when he starts crying and just super annoying. So like I said, I can understand why people don't like that part of the game, but I just thought everything was just done so well that I could look past that. You know, just don't get hit, get better, right? Get better at the game. If you don't get hit, you don't have to worry about Mario crying.
Yeah, just get good.
Yeah, exactly. But no, man, it's just such great memories again. I just remember, you know, being that age and being just witnessing kind of what could really happen, happen with the Super Nintendo. You know, the potential of that console being unlocked there. It came late in the game. In the console's life cycle. Then the very next year is when PlayStation came out, and just you know, 3D was it. But Yoshi's Island was one of the last great 2D platformers on Super Nintendo, and probably, I mean, some of the best music for any Mario game period, in my opinion.
That's good to hear. So my other pick for very memorable song is probably pretty recent, so I might have kind of recency blinders on, but I think I have enough like experience with the franchise to back up how much I love the franchise. And I think I can't say it enough on this podcast how much of a Persona fanboy I am. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that Persona 5 made a very big impression on me this year. And man, when I think of that soundtrack, I enjoy a lot of the music in that soundtrack. Shoji Meguro is a star composer, I think. He kind of fuses the idea of like kind of like poppy, almost hip hop kind of a feel into a lot of his music. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
like there's acid jazz there too. He melds genres in very interesting ways.
Right. And I mean, you beat Persona 4, like you played through all of that, right, Jack? Yeah, that soundtrack, stellar stuff, right?
My favorite of that series so far, but granted, I'm still early in 5.
Right. And did you play Persona 3 at all?
No, I played Persona on PS1.
Oof.
Yeah, and I've since gone back to that actually, just to see what my fresh take was on it, and it's so just rudimentary and archaic compared. But no, so I played that one, and then I jump all the way back to Persona 4 and now 5.
So Persona 3 also has a really, really good soundtrack. I'd recommend, like, maybe not necessarily play through the game, but just find the soundtrack online, maybe give it a listen. Especially the battle theme is really good, I think. But no, when I think of Persona 5, I think the song from that soundtrack that stands out the most to me is the very first song you hear when you boot up Persona 5.
Oh,
Wake up. Yeah. Wake up, get out there.
Yeah, so that's the opening credits, right?
Yeah, the opening credits song, sung by Lin Inaizumi. She also wrote the lyrics along with Benjamin Franklin, composed, of course, by Shoji Meguro. Man, because that, like, here's the thing. I've been a big Persona fan, right? And waiting for 5 has been hellish, because that game
here now.
It was originally supposed to come out like winter 2014, winter 2013, right? Yeah,
and it was out in Japan forever, and we just had to wait for the translation, really.
Yeah, it came out in Japan, I think October 2016. So yeah, no, I've been waiting for Persona 5 for years, because Persona 4 came out 2009, and I didn't play it till maybe like 2010. So it's been like 7 years for me, like a gap with the gap between Persona games, and it's this weird mix of, like that feeling you get when you first boot up a game. You're like, this is going to be a good game. Yeah. But then mix that with like, you've been waiting for this for so long. Yeah. Like literally a third of my life, I've been waiting for this game. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, a third of my life I've been waiting for this game. And man, just that second when the screen goes red and then you bum, bum, bum. You just hear that, and
I would love to see someone's first just reaction to that. That's new to the series, that doesn't just know word one, about Persona, and I would just love to see what they think, because instantly the game is just oozing and dripping with style. Like there's so much style out of every single corner of that game. Music, the just the flair it has. It's got flair, man. I don't really know any other way to say it. It's just a flashy, sharp game in all things. And the menus, everything. We've talked about it, on the podcast already, but Persona 5, like, incredible style, world class.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a game where, like, if you own a PS4, you should own Persona 5. I might be a little biased, but I do think it's probably one of the best RPGs that you can play. No, yeah, that song, it still gives me like the chills. It still reminds me of like all my hours playing Persona, because when I listen to the other songs on that soundtrack, you know, like Rivers in a Desert or Last Surprise, which are, you know, battle themes, one of them like for bosses and one of them like the normal, you know, like you'll never see it coming, that whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear those songs, I think of the battles associated with them, or just like battles in general, right? Whereas when I hear Wake Up, Get Up, Get Out There, I associate like my whole 90+ hour experience with Persona, all the highs and the lows, all the character interactions, all the, you know, like dramatic story moments, all those really tough boss battles where it looks like, you know, I'm about to lose it, but then I find a way, you know, like just everything about a good RPG comes back to me in that song. And it's great. It really just kind of brings that whole experience together, you know?
Yeah. Is it a spoiler to ask if that song makes its appearance in the game, or is it just in the first title sequence?
I want to say there's a point in the story where the song plays. Okay. But I guess I can't really confirm that. You know, like 90 hours is a hard amount of time to sift through in your head and remember for sure.
And that game is it's more rare to not hear music in the background. I feel like with that game, music is constantly playing, and when they want to go for real dramatic effect is when they'll cut the music.
Right. And I mean, like I really associate like Rivers in a Desert, for example, with its boss battle, because I remember that boss was the first time you hear that song. You know, it's like it's a very novel experience, you know?
Yeah, man, talking about this game, dude, I'm thinking about how awesome the first 10 hours were.
Yeah,
so
and
awesome.
You haven't even seen the other 80. Like, I'm telling you, it's so good.
Just 80 more hours, don't worry. Okay. I haven't spent 80 hours doing anything in the last year, so besides sleeping, obviously, but
yeah.
Awesome, man. No. Yeah, that's
great.
Hey, you knew my picks coming in, but I didn't know yours, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I think they're very solid picks. I should have known that something would have been from Persona 5, but that still surprised me somewhat. But Baba Yetu is a great pool, man. So I'm glad we could include those in this week's episode.
I'm glad I got the Jack Cepeda seal of approval there.
Hey, I go with winners, all right?
Yeah, I am a Grammy award-winning song picker, so I know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
yeah. So we're also gonna change it up a little bit here this week. 2-man show. We normally do a Would You Rather, where I find something and then the other two guys come in cold. But obviously we can't do that this week, and so we're changing it up. So now the format for this week is that we have both come up with our own, or not come up with our own, but we've both found our own Would You Rathers we're going to ask to the other person. So I don't know what Robert's going to ask me, and he doesn't know what I'm going to ask him. And we're just going to get these hot takes for you. Hopefully it'll be entertaining. Who knows anymore?
Yeah. What is entertainment?
Yeah. I want to go. I want you to ask me first, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mine probably isn't like super hard hit. It's probably not dramatic, but
yeah, and we don't have to take long with this either. I mean, we've been talking already an hour and a half, so
yeah. So we'll see.
If you're still here, thank you, but what are you doing with your life? It's time to take stock of your life here and figure out why you're here.
Yeah, who would listen to this podcast, right?
Yeah, so go ahead. So yeah, I'm ready. All right. I this is my first time doing it, so I'm always the one asking, so I'm on the hot seat. Okay,
so would you rather never be able to comprehend music again? Or never be able to comprehend, like, how to phrase this, like text that you want to read for fun. So like you'd still be able to, like when you're driving down the street, you'd be able to read like, oh, that's, you know, First Avenue or something. But
who
like if you're trying to
Octagon?
But if you're trying to like read a book, or if you're like playing a game where there's a lot of text-based like dialogue, you won't be able to read it.
Wow. Okay, so let me repeat this back to you. So would I rather never really be able to comprehend or appreciate music, or comprehend or appreciate entertaining writing?
Yes.
You know what? Wow, that's an interesting question. And I actually have an interesting answer, I think, if I don't say so myself. So it's pretty easy for me to say that I would rather not be able to comprehend interesting entertainment writing. And it's very difficult for me to imagine going through the rest of my life without being able to appreciate and understand and comprehend music. And the reason why it's so easy for me is because I actually kind of know what that's like already. I was in early like first, second grade. They would pull every student aside and they'd go into a separate room with a special instructor or whatever. I don't even know, some counselor or something like that. And they'd have them read a book and they would record it on cassette tape. Okay, that's how old this is.
All right.
So they record on cassette tape. And I would go in and I'd read the book. And then the lady would like go like, whoa, like, you know, like real impressed or whatever. And they determined that I had a very advanced ability to read at an early age. And my pronunciation, my comprehension, my spelling, all that was like really highly marked. And so they put me in this advanced reading where I was reading like almost middle school, high school level, like literature, right? But in first, second grade, it was, you know, whatever. But what happened is I learned that I was rewarded by reading well and reading fast. So I would just learn to read fast. And I had that problem it was a big problem for me where my comprehension just did not exist. But I could read super fast, so no one thought I had a problem. Okay, so no one really considered, you know, like maybe we should like ask him about this or to reflect on what is said. They're just like, wow, he can read that really well and really fast and he's well spoken, you know, for such a young age. He must be really smart. When in actuality, I was just, you know, kind of doing what I thought people wanted me to do, which is just read fast. So I'm sure we've all been there where you get to the bottom of the page, you're like, what happened? How did I get here? Like, where did my mind go? Right. But it was magnify that by like 10 times for me. I really had to work at it, and believe it or not, I kind of like fudged my way through high school, and like only when I got into college did I really. So okay, here's what happened. Only when I would read video game magazines, believe it or not, was my comprehension really good, because it was always something that interested me. So when I'm reading about video games, stories, magazines, etc., I would actually read slower because I knew that I had to read slower to comprehend. But when I was doing something for school or just because someone wanted to hear me read, I would just read it really fast and I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it, right? So video games really kind of saved me as far as, you know, becoming a fully functioning adult. And like I said, it wasn't really till college till I really worked hard at getting my comprehension down. You know, to adult levels, I think, you know, and just I had to play catch up really. Because if it wasn't about video games, I didn't really care, you know. And for some reason, I kind of gravitated also towards true like war biographies as well. Okay. Like I don't know what it was, but like Generation Kill was that article that was in Rolling Stone, became a HBO series, was a best-selling book. I read that whole book cover to cover, like in a very short amount of time. I was very interested in that. Also, American Sniper, for whatever reason, those books just really held my interest, you know, all the way throughout, and they were just page turners for me. I just wanted to keep reading them.
Man,
yeah.
I did not expect this question to get that deep.
Yeah, no, but like I said, I would rather, I would give up comprehending reading just because I'd know what it's like, and I made it okay, I guess. But I've always loved music. I've always had an appreciation for music. I mean, obviously, genre to genre, like my affection varies, but I was that second grader that was blasting Metallica's Black Album in second grade and blasting like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction 1 and 2. Like I was that kid in second grade that's like, keep your, you know, your friend, like no, I wasn't allowed to have any friends over because I was like the bad influence because I listened to the adult music. Right. Man, he listens to cuss words. I want my Mega Man 2 cartridge back, man. No, but yeah, I didn't expect it to go that deep either. But hey, that's a cool question.
Well, yeah, there you go. I came up with that myself too, so I'm proud of that.
Awesome. No, that's a good one. Yeah, I did not come up with this one myself. I actually went to the giantbomb.com. I went to their forums, and I know they have pretty good, you know, discussions in regards to Would You Rather. So I couldn't, again, you know, the internet failed me. I just could not find great ones. So this one I'm asking not because I think it's a great question, but it's just because I want to get to know you a little bit better. And I just genuinely want to know like what your opinion is of this. And yeah, we'll go from there. So,
all right, punch it.
Not a very original question, but would you rather have an ugly but very funny / intelligent / committed girlfriend, or a hot and sexy but very stupid, boring girlfriend?
Oh, easily.
I'm reading this, by the way. This is not my question.
Okay.
I just want to know your answer.
Very easily the first one. Like, no contest.
Elaborate on that.
Oh, okay then. So, like, yeah, I'm not, you know, I don't believe in that idea of like, oh, looks aren't everything. It's all about inner beauty. Like, that's horse garbage. Like, please. Garbage. It's horse garbage. Yeah, everyone at some level cares about physical, you know, like, you know, they got a cute face or nice body, whatever, right? Like, everyone cares about that on some level. But if we're talking, like, this is a question for a committed relationship, right?
I don't know. I just read the question. I mean, would you rather have, it just says, an ugly, funny, intelligent, committed girlfriend or a sexy,
committed
hot,
girlfriend?
Committed girlfriend or a hot and sexy but very stupid, boring girlfriend. It's kind of a biased question, I guess. A
little bit, but like the girlfriend to me signifies some sense of committed relationship, right?
I mean, monogamy at least.
Yeah. So when I think of a committed relationship, like let's say I do get a girl that's like hot or whatever, but she's like dumb as bricks. Like I couldn't deal. Like I'd catch on very quickly that this would not work out very well, you know, because I appreciate having good conversations or someone like getting my quick wit. I like to think I'm a funny guy sometimes.
Yeah, she's like, I don't get it.
Yeah, just like, or just worst. Like, ha, that was funny, and I'm like, do you know why it was funny? No. Right. Yeah.
Oh, I heard it in a movie once.
Yeah. It's like, well, you started laughing, so I thought I should laugh too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like that'd get very old very quickly for me. Like, even just us like joking about it made me think, oh man, this hurts. So I like, for me, I think I gravitate more toward people who can actually uphold a good conversation, who can like have some, you know, like quick wit and like good banter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's like that's not a hard question for me to answer.
What about, and again, I didn't think it would be hard, but I just wanted to, you know, kind of get your take on it. But what about, you know, just to play devil's advocate, what about if a girl looked really good and she liked you a lot and she really wanted to date you, but she just didn't have that, like, you know, mental capacity to
like she's dumb as bricks?
Nah, not that, but she just, you know, she just couldn't hold she just couldn't hold an intelligent conversation all night long, right? But she has like the sweetest heart. You know, but she's just misunderstood. You know, would you have the patience for her? Would you be like, you can't, you don't know why this is funny, so we're not hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
like the Legally Blonde, right? Like type.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like the nature of the relationship. Like if it isn't, what's the word? Like if she isn't super needy, sure, I could probably deal with that. But
now we're getting now we're getting into more a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. But I don't think that'd be a good relationship in the end. You know what I mean? Like I'd probably deal with it for like a while, but there'd probably be a point where I'd be like, this isn't working out.
What's your definition of needy?
Needy?
Everyone has their own.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so the idea of like basically what I'd be getting at with that kind of girl, right, is I can tolerate to a point the whole like, I don't get it, or I don't like that joke went over my head, or stuff like that, right? Like, I can tolerate that pretty well because I run into it like every day. Like it's not everyone I talk to is like as nerdy as I am or like gets all my jokes. But like when I think of needy, I think like she's clingy and like wants to talk 24/7. So I think like the more we talk, like this is gonna sound bad, the more we talk, the more I have to explain my jokes and explain like why this went over her head, and then I think I'm not gonna be able to tolerate that as much, and like at some point I'm gonna like explode, and that's just not good.
Where's your barometer? Like, is there any movie, right, that you would kind of use not just as a date night to hang out on the couch, but also kind of like all right, if she gets this, she's in. If she doesn't get it, then we have an issue. Like, is there a movie or any kind of, you know, or any comedian or any kind of thing you would use as a, again, you know, kind of a benchmark?
Man, no.
For compatibility?
For compatibility? No, because I usually like cater to other people a lot, you know, so I'll look at like, I'll try to figure out what they would enjoy watching.
I mean, you mainly play healer in Overwatch, so it's pretty clear like you cater to the good of the group. Yeah,
very rarely do I think about my own needs. So yeah, I'd usually cater to them, but I'd have to say, like, if we were sitting down and watching like Blazing Saddles and she found that, like, that'd be easily a plus in my book.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Blazing Saddles?
I never have. I've seen Spaceballs multiple times, but Blazing Saddles, I think it's not on Netflix anymore. That's the main problem.
They just took it off, but clearly we're never going to date, Jack.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Dang it. Let's just cut that.
I was just about to cancel. Yeah, my my matrimony this year.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty hot stuff. No, but yeah, Blazing Saddles is a great movie. Would highly recommend. Like, not even as a barometer to see if, like, you know, if this person's like,
that's just a good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, definitely dated for its time. You know, you have to like kind of get where it's coming from, but man, is it good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well,
yeah,
I'm trying to envision a scenario where, you know, you would be more into looks, where that would matter more to you. But it seems like you're kind of holding to your moral compass there.
Yeah, no, I'm a straight shooter here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, that's awesome. So cool, man. Good. Well, I guess I got more out of that than I thought too. So
yeah. So I guess I should wrap us up for this 2-man episode of the Tiny Disc Podcast. Definitely went longer than we expected.
I did not think we were going to go almost 2 hours, you know. And also, guys, hey, get on those social medias. We want to know what you would do. What would you rather date for looks? You know, is you know, kind of personality more, or you kind of more about the trophy, right? Or also, you know, just let us know if you would give up comprehending music or comprehending reading, you know, like we want to know. We want to make this a dialogue. Join the conversation.
Tweet at us using hashtag TDP.
Yeah, and also, again, if there's like some music in video games that you think is awesome, like we want to hear about that too. Like throw those in the comments and everything. But we really appreciate everyone that has reviewed us on iTunes so far. 5-star, do it up. And we want to also remind you that the contest is still going on and it's going strong. Definitely get your reviews in. So again, the rules for this contest, and I know it's a big ask, but it really will only take about 5 minutes. We need 5-star reviews on iTunes. Also follow us on Twitter and tweet at us using the hashtag TDP. That's the only way we can see when someone's actually done something. And then also subscribe to the podcast. Once you do that, you are in the running. There are people entering, so it's not too late at all, but definitely get in there and you will win a large cash prize. That will be awesome. So definitely we appreciate everyone that's entered so far and engaged with us, and we look forward to seeing more of them. But, you know, help us out. If you like this podcast, help us get some visibility on iTunes and just grow the fan base. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can totally follow us online on Twitter at Tiny Disc Podcast. That's at Tiny Disc Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at Tiny Disc. There's a group there moderated by Collin. You can also email us at tinydiscpodcast@gmail.com with any questions, feedback, comments, concerns, hate mails, whatever. We'll be sure to try and reply to you there if we can. But to wrap us all up here, Jack, where can we find you on social media?
At Jack Cepeda on Twitter, JACCEPEDA. Hit me up.
Very nice. And you can find me, Robert, on Twitter at Pinoptimist, PINOPTIMIST. And that wraps us up for this episode of the Tiny Disc Podcast, I think. So tune in next week for another episode, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Woo! Bye, guys.